Welcome to Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. Broaden the scope of exposure for your business by going beyond the interview. Learn more at www.jmmbmediallc.com or email us at jmmbradio@gmail.com. Knowledge sharing is essential to economic survival. Denning, Pommier, and Schneer. Aditya Varanasi, is a digital marketing trailblazer who, after 14 years at PepsiCo, saw an opportunity to adapt advertising technology that had long been reserved for Fortune 100 corporations to help small businesses hop on emerging digital marketing trends and increase their bottom line. Aditya is leveling the field for small business owners who otherwise couldn't stand a chance against their competition. He does this as he brings his world-class marketing tools and the insider strategies and tactics he learned during his decade-spanning career in the corporate climate. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, welcome. So tell us how people can level up like the big boys.
Yeah, when it comes to marketing and advertising and building a brand, if you take, say, a local restaurant, today, they might only have a couple of tools to reach customers and plant that seed of awareness that ultimately leads people to come in and visit. They might go heavy in social media. They might invest in some Google search. They have a website and maybe do some things to optimize their website for search engines. But it's fairly limited. You're only reaching people in search when they're actually searching for something. And in social media, less than half of social media users are even on the platform daily. So your ability to reach new customers and get that compelling story on why you got to try this restaurant is fairly limited. These businesses used to rely on newspapers and magazines, and those are not really being consumed anymore. And so what big companies do a great job of is, we call it building a brand, but really what they do is they have a clear message on how they stand out. And then they share that message across a number of platforms. And they're able to access other advertising channels like TV, out of home, like billboards, and of course, some digital tools and programmatic advertising, which are ads you see on websites or on connected TV. And so these big companies are able to reach you in multiple ways with that concise, simple message, and that's what sticks. And so what we're doing at Awarity is we've created advertising technology that uses the same media that large companies utilize. We just make it easier and more affordable for businesses of all sizes to also reach new customers, except do it on a hyper-local basis.
I really like that because you definitely need to be in different platforms. I definitely agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Your customers, you don't know where they are, really. People talk about niche, and niche is fine, but how do you get to them?
Right. Yeah. In traditional advertising, it is hard because it's expensive. It requires a really high investment, whether that's radio or cable TV or billboards, but then it's not entirely efficient. You're not reaching those niche audiences. So let's go back to that restaurant example. You may only have two restaurants in one part of town, but if you buy traditional media, it could end up across the entire market area, way outside of where people may drive and visit you. And using digital tools like banner ads, like the banner ads we offer, everything we do is placed down to the zip code level, and it could be targeted to different personas. So for example, if you're, we'll use the restaurant example, we can place ads on websites most visited by foodies. So if you're reading about food, reading blogs, reading content about cooking, about high-end cuisine, whatever that content is, whether it's a website like Food Network, or whether it's a blog that's out there that's promoting really interesting cuisine, that's where we can place those ads, but they're only seen when they're within a zip code that's in and around that restaurant. And so it lets you be much more targeted. And by being more targeted and using the automation we've developed, we can make the price affordable, but then it's really efficient because only the people you want to see it are seeing it.
That makes a lot of sense. I like that because it's true. You said a couple of things that, we don't think about anymore. Most people do not use the newspaper the way they used to, but now it really is about reaching that targeted audience that is going to actually use your business rather than going so broad that, half of those people that you're reaching are sometimes on the other side of the world. Yeah. And that's just because of the power of the internet. So right. I like that idea. That's very promising.
Yes. Wow. So let me ask you, suppose a company is international. How do you work with those type of companies?
Yeah, we've run campaigns in close to 20 different countries now around the world. It all comes down to, good advertising is all about reaching the right people, doing so at a compelling frequency. You don't want to reach them 50 times in a month because at some point there's diminishing returns. You also don't want to reach them once a month because that's not going to stick. We're not going to remember an ad we only see once. And so it's about reaching the right people, but doing so at an appropriate frequency, and then presenting a compelling message. And that message has to resonate with the need of the customer and showcase in the simplest possible way how you can help them meet that need. Because at the end of the day, advertising is trying to get people to try something they haven't done before, or it's trying to remind them to do something they may have done in the past. You're trying to change human behavior. There has to be something in it for the person. And so the person you're targeting. And so when it comes to international campaigns or larger campaigns, what we'll do is we'll work with the client, and based on their budget, we'll scale it to what their needs are. So let's take, there was a company we work with that has developed premium oral care products, toothbrush, toothpaste, a mouthwash, a gel. It's very expensive. You're talking about toothpaste that is $60 versus $5 or $6. So it clearly caters to a very specific audience. Mm-hmm. Now, their product's great and could help a wide range of people, but as they're starting with limited resources, it's important to go where they're most likely to be able to persuade someone as they're building their brand. And so one of the things we did for them is we isolated zip codes that were high income, knowing this is a premium product. It tailors to a higher income audience. Instead of serving ads everywhere, let's serve ads only in those zip codes above a certain income threshold where they might be most likely to try it. It doesn't mean the product can't expand over time, but with their limited resources today, we try to target the most likely customer. And then over time, as they grow, we can expand that to bring new customers into the mix.
And that makes sense.
I think what you were saying, it's not important as what you have to offer the customer as opposed to what the customer needs from you. Did I hear you correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
Could you expand on that, please?
I think, and look, I'm guilty of this myself through the various marketing roles I've been in or the various businesses that I've run or been a part of. It's really easy to want to talk about all the great stuff we've done and talk about the new features we've developed or the new flavors we launched when I was at Frito-Lay. It's really easy to want to talk about things we've done that we're putting into the world. But really, any good advertising makes the customer the hero. You're putting the customer at the center of that story because they're the ones that you're exchanging value with. And you have to show them the value you're providing them in a way that it's meaningful for them. So I could tell you about a nice, cool technical widget and all the complexity that went behind it. It doesn't mean anything if the customer is not seeing how it makes something in their life easier, better, more efficient, more effective. Mm-hmm. And so think about cars as an example with that. Car makers don't talk about their fuel injection technology that enables higher horsepower. They'll focus on the 0 to 60, or even at a higher level, how exhilarated you feel when you drive that car because it's so powerful. That's what it means to the customer. They may care. They may care over time, and there may be some folks that are really into cars that want to know all of that technology, but that introduction just to get the door open, it's based on emotion. Humans make decisions based on emotion and then rationalize it versus looking at facts and making a decision and feeling good. And so I think that's something that's always an opportunity that I look at for anything we're putting into the market for ourselves. It's much easier to do it for our clients. Sometimes it's harder to do it for yourself because we're so intimately familiar with all of what we're doing and we want to share that with the world. But we have to pause and look at it from the other side of the desk and say, what is it actually doing for them?
Wow,
Yes.
really important. And like you said, we don't always think, we get caught up in what we want to give. But when you were talking about the cars, how looking at from the customer side, the one that came immediately to mind was Zoom Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Love
their
that.
tagline, Zoom Zoom.
Right.
And it sold them millions of cars. And I believe it was a young boy who was a first actor who used that. So it involved the entire family's mentality. But
Right.
that little boy's concept of speed and power, Zoom Zoom. Even though we don't use newspapers and magazines the way we used to, do you find that people are very still much inclined follow advertising that does that in a powerful way? What is the psychology behind that?
You know, I think there's a couple interesting tidbits. The first is we're exposed as consumers, we're exposed to 4,000 to 6,000 ad messages a day. 4,000 to 6,000.
Yes.
And everybody is busy. Everybody has a lot on their plate. I've yet to talk to somebody that says, I've got a ton of free time. So we're all thinking and processing a lot. And then, out of our periphery, we're getting 4,000 to 6,000 ads a day. How does that ad break through and become memorable? And it has to be simple and it has to connect with the customer. And that goes back to the point of what does it mean to them, not what does it mean to you, and resonating with that. And that's kind of the first piece of it. The second piece that I think about in terms of stickiness, and we've seen this in all of our data, there are clients, whether it's sports teams that sell tickets, or whether it's another company that sells, trying to get people to download an app, or even in-store visits, we've seen time and again, over 98% of conversions, meaning somebody took an action you wanted them to take, is actually done from an impression, not a click. Meaning somebody sees the ad, they don't click in that moment because they're reading an article, they're in the middle of something, but if the ad is simple, succinct, and demonstrates value to the customer, they're going to remember and come back later to the website. And that's a really hard thing in today's day and age because candidly, some big tech companies to me they've ruined the art of marketing. They've made it that you just think about that last click conversion and that means you're doing well and you're making a smart decision. And it discounts everything that happens before that purchase. People learn about you, you plant a seed of awareness. You may not be ready to take action, but at least it's somewhere in your mind. Then maybe you see another ad and it reinforces it. Then maybe you go to the website, do some research, and maybe you see what competitors are doing. Then you maybe buy another product and you're not satisfied and return it. Then ultimately you come back. That customer journey from awareness to purchase is long and winding. It's not a straight line. As much as brands and businesses want it to be, it's not a straight line. And I always tell our clients, think about the last time you bought something. How much research did you do? How much time did you spend from when you knew about the brand to ultimately when you made the purchase? Start thinking about your marketing in that respect, because then you start designing for different things. If everything you do is just designed to get people to buy now, there's only a small group of people that are ever ready to buy any product on demand. But if you start thinking about what are all the people that could benefit over whatever their purchase cycle is, then you've now expanded to a much larger audience and it becomes more sustainable because that starts to fuel itself if you give it time. That's honestly why we set up our pricing. Most of our customers are on a subscription plan so you can build ongoing awareness, because that's where you're going to see the greatest reward is if you're spending, even if it's a small amount, spending it over an extended period of time. That's when your message is really going to seed and you're going to see better metrics on everything else you're doing.
And I agree with you. And I'm one of those type of people. If I'm looking for something to fix something, I research.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't go out and buy the first thing I see.
Absolutely.
For sure. So if people want to work with you, how do they connect?
Yes, visit us at www.awarity.com, awarity.com, and we'll put together a free proposal. There's no obligation. There's a button on the top right. You say free proposal. Just give us Takes about 30 seconds to fill out. We just need your website, a rough budget, and maybe a little information about who you want to reach. And we'll come back with a proposal and show you how we'll target your ads, how many impressions you may get, how targeted they'll be. And we make it very, very simple because we know everybody's got a lot on their plate, and we want to make this easy, efficient, and effective.
Yes. Wow. This is right on time. It's right now. I'm looking at different strategies myself right now for my company. I'm looking for a little bit more automation where I can, stay in contact with my clients and not just reach out to purchase something, buy from me, but to also reach out. How are you?
Yeah. We launched a new product recently, and we're making it free now. It used to be an upcharge, where if you upload your CRM list to our platform, we can target that audience with ads. So you might want to keep just an ongoing advertising cadence with your customers, and you can now do that with us. It's not an email. We're not going to send them any email, obviously. We're only going to serve them ads. That's all we have permission to do. But we can serve them ads. So if you have new products, new features, seasonal messages that you want to get in front of your customer base as a way to just check in, but do so outside of what we normally do, which is email, which can work great. But sometimes people need to see those other touch points that are a little more organic, and they'll become more responsive to the emails when they see that.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
like that.
wow. I like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is
So-
really awesome.
And that is kind of like leads us to the next question that I had. You have a line in here about inspiring trust to earn leads, creating key messages that reach new clients. Can you talk about that inspiring trust?
So let's take two businesses. We'll go back to the restaurant example, two restaurants. Restaurant A, you just happen to drive by, you see it, they have a cool name, it looks nice, you might be inclined to try it. But restaurant B looks equally nice, has equally cool a name. You've also seen 4 ads from them that showed you some really appetizing food that they offer. It's not telling you to come in, it's not telling you price, not telling you anything. Psychologically, we're going to be more inclined to go to the one we've heard about. We may not always remember how we heard about it. We may not remember we saw an ad. We may not remember where it came from, but that trust can be just learning a little bit more about the business. And so that's the role good advertising can play. Is it's another mark. If people see you out there, they believe you're established. They see that, they start to feel like you're everywhere. They are going to be more likely to notice your content on other advertising channels. If you're putting things on social media, or if you have things in search, they're going to be more likely to click on your ad when they are searching for a restaurant, and ultimately become more likely to come in for a visit. And so when you take a step back and you look at the competitive world, showcasing your value, so that appetizing cuisine is the value they're providing, showcasing that value in a meaningful way is a way to start building trust.
Wow.
So that's really powerful, for a small business. That is powerful. I would
Very.
love to dive deeper with you on this subject, because I think many small businesses feel that they are lost in the sauce because they don't have huge advertising budgets. And they know that they're competing, as Ida said at the beginning, they're competing with the big boys. And, you're there, but, nobody knows where you are or who you are. So this is huge information for
Yes.
small businesses, solopreneurs. I would love to dive deeper with you on this topic.
Yes, we would definitely want you to come back. And you made me think about a commercial that I find valuable. Here it's called the Good Feet Store. Have you seen that commercial?
Mm-mm.
But anyway, they have real people on there talking about how bad their feet was hurting.
I think I have seen it.
And it's so powerful.
Yeah.
The first time I saw that commercial, I was like, oh, wow. And now I'm like thinking in the back of my mind, if I have problems with my feet and my shoes, I'm going to the Good Foot Store.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yes. So again, how do people connect with you?
The best way is through our website, www.awarity.com. And you can go on there, you can send us a message, you can request a proposal. If you have any questions, we've got a phenomenal team, and I always like to keep abreast of what's going on as well with the team. But everything we do is about how do we help our clients get in front of as many people as possible that are potential customers at the lowest possible price and lowest possible cost per impression. Because we know, the one thing that holds up these small businesses is sometimes it's hard to measure the impact of that customer journey from beginning to end. So we have people say, hey, I just need leads. And we're like, that's great. Based on your budget, we may tell you to just invest in things like search or email lists or other things that are much lower in that funnel. If that's all you have the resources for, that's okay. When you're ready for advertising and bringing more people in that funnel and playing the long game for growth, that's when we're a great match for those businesses. Because we see time and again, we're bringing a lot of new people to their website, a lot of new people to their location. They don't all convert right away, and you can't expect people to convert because none of us convert on the first website visit either. But it's at least filling that funnel, and these businesses that have stuck with it have seen over time they're building a brand, and when you start building that brand, it becomes a self-sustaining cycle.
Yes, and I agree with you. They need to see you in different places, different mediums, because I remember that company. Yes. Just like I see the Good Foot store, I'm gonna use them. I see them on almost every channel on television that I watch. I see their commercial. And that's another point I wanted to make earlier is you notice it because it resonated. Yes. Out of the 4,000 to 6,000 ads you're seeing a day, you remember that one because it connected with you. Yes. And it stuck out so much, you notice it every time. People ask me sometimes, they're like, hey, is my Google device listening to me, or my Alexa, is it listening to me? Because I was just talking about this item and all of a sudden I started to see ads for it. And my answer back is, look, I can't tell you exactly what's happening behind the scenes, but I don't believe that's the case. But what is happening is when you're thinking about something, you're more likely to notice the ad for it. That ad may have been there before, but you're more likely to notice it when it's been on your mind. Like getting a blue car, and then you start to notice everybody with the same color car you have. Yeah, looks like everybody's got a blue car all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Okay.
Wow. We want you to come back. So thank you so much. And again, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, please visit us, www.awarity.com, and message us, request a proposal, anything we can do to help, any questions you might have, please do reach out anytime.
Thank you for tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you and yours.